So, we're going to do a couple things, 5 specifically, and then a 6th one some other time, but that's more advanced. We're not going to worry about that right now. First, we're going to knock down the tone on some of the structures in your hips. Second, we're going to, what else? I got my list right here, sorry. And then we're going to do internal to external rotation transitions. I'll show you what that's like. We're going to increase your proprioceptive awareness of your feet and your hips, which is super duper important for squats, deadlifts, walking, not sitting so much. Well, yeah, sitting too, but anyways, it's neither here nor there. So first things first, internal rotation stretch on the left leg, specifically for you. You're not going to do this on the right, just the left. So what you're going to do is you're going to kind of sit back, right? You're going to take your hands, you're going to post out, put your weight on here. I don't want you holding yourself up with your body, at least not yet. So take your hands, post out. You can put your legs out. It doesn't really matter where they are. I have wider hips, so I like to put them a little wider. And I'm getting better at this so I can scoot forward and kind of get a bigger circle going. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your left knee from this position. You're going to dump it internally, right? So what we do in squats is we go the other way. This is external, so external rotation, internal rotation. So you want to internally rotate, right? You want to watch out for lateral and medial collateral ligament pain, so the sides of your knees, inside or outside, sometimes they can get aggravated in this stretch, and the way you can mitigate that is by using your hand. You can either post up, post down. You can change the angles of your foot this way or that way. You can rotate it. Do what you got to do. So again, dump it into internal. You can also use your other leg and your other hips to scoot out. You can scoot in, back, forward. I tend to scoot back and hip out to get a nice stretch. You might feel it, you're going to feel it deep in your capsule and in your hip. And just a warning, really, as you're texting me, I'm reading your text, I'm sorry. It might feel like your femur is going to pop right out of the acetabulum. It's not going to do that, I promise. I know that's the sensation, but that's not actually what's going to happen. So second is a traditional adductor stretch, except we're going to do it on the right leg. So we did internal rotation stretch on the left. Now we're going to do adductor stretches on the right. So what that's going to look like is you can use an elevated surface if you want, or you can just do it on the floor, right? I prefer to do it on the floor just because, I don't know, I feel like it's easier to kind of English, it's hard. Hunt around, find the places that you need, right? So you're just going to post out, put your knee down, you can have something under it, soft, whatever you need. You might want to put your foot more to the side. It can go out that way, absolutely, but it's up to you, whatever you need. And then you're going to load up that adductor complex. You're going to feel a stretch either deep in your hips or closer to the knee, wherever you need to feel it. And you're going to kind of put your weight towards that outstretched foot and then kind of back just a little bit. So one more time, you're up here, right? You're going to sink back and down into it, and I'm feeling a good stretch here, but that's not what I need. So hunt around, find the hot spot. It doesn't have to be a super duper powerful stretch, just something light. You can go a little closer to medium, but not heavy. 2 minutes. The third thing we're going to do after you do those two, these do need to be in order, is internal rotation to external rotation transitions bilaterally, so both legs. What that's going to look like, and if these videos aren't adequate, I can show you like specific videos for each one of these, like 10 minutes each. They discuss it in detail, whatever you need. So what we just talked about is, remember your internal stretch we just talked about. We also mentioned that during squats and deadlifts we do external rotations. So what we're going to do is we're going to take your left leg, dump it into internal rotation. You're going to take your right leg, right, dump it into external rotation. So it kind of looks like you have a Z going on, or an X. Is that a Z? It's like half a swastika. I know it's not appropriate, but that's exactly what it looks like. And what you want to do is you want to take both hands, post out, right? Put your weight on your hands. You're going to brace with your ribs down. you're gonna go into the opposite. So your left knee's going to external, your right knee into internal, and you're just gonna drop it to the floor. Same thing, brace. You're gonna do this very slowly and very controlled. I want you to feel all your internal and external rotation muscles. There's the externally rotated knee should be on the ground too, but I don't have enough room in this little tiny dorm. So you're just gonna go back and forth, slowly, controlled, and I want you to feel the difference. Feel where there's pain. If there's pain moving from internal to external or external to internal, then those are things that we can address and that this will also help. Try to keep your ass planted and make your knees have the biggest possible circumference that you can. Make the biggest circle. So instead of being like, oh, little tiny circle, right? You want a big circle. Oh, that hurts my TFLs. That's good. So that's something I have to do before my warm-ups. And then last but not least, foot activation. Super duper important. I know I showed you that video, but I'm going to show you something that's specific to your needs, okay? So, where's a better way to do this? Do you have good light? So I'm going to have to do this kneeling, but obviously you're going to be standing like if you're in a squat. So people tend to squat with flat feet, right? They want the most amount of surface area contacted. That's not... It's a very basic understanding of what's going on. Foot mechanics, hand mechanics, super duper complicated. Like, you don't need to know the specifics. You just need to know what is appropriate for you. So what you need to do is take your feet. First off, can you splay your toes all the way? Like that? And if you can't, the first thing you're going to do is you can take your hands, I hope clean, interlace them into your toes, right? Actually, I tend to go the other way. It would go like opposite hand and grab them, right? As low as you can and try to, with your hand in there, make your toes go out, right? You might not feel it the first time. You can also use your hand to stretch it and then contract them, squeeze them together. And contract, or extend them, abduct them out, spread them out, squeeze them, spread them out, squeeze them. And then while you're spreading them out, push your big toe and the ball of your foot down, right? So that's just to kind of get your general idea. First you gotta get some mobility in there, and then we gotta get some actual like stability and strength in there, and then we gotta get the mechanic down. As Americans, we kind of just, we sit a lot. It's almost better if we had like similar culture to like Asian cultures where we squat a lot, we walk a lot. There's reasons that indigenous tribes, they always have the biggest butts and the nicest feet. You're gonna see real wide feet, big butts, like semi-erect posture. It's really important and something that we don't do as a society because we sit a lot and we work and we study and we do all that. Especially us as students, it's so much worse. But anyways, I digress. So after the hand stuff, what you're gonna do, and this is what I want you to practice every single day, and then also under the bar. You're gonna take your foot, right? You're gonna extend, let's imagine your foot is flat. You're gonna lift it up. Take the ball of your foot, and it also might manifest in your toe at first because it does take time for the skill to develop because it's a motor pattern in your brain, not so much your consciousness. You're gonna plant your heel, plant the ball of your foot, right? Plant your big toe, plant lateral side of your foot. Now what you want to do is, my arches are high now. I used to be flat-footed, and flat-footedness, unless you have a legitimate disease, it's really just a mechanical issue, and we want a good arch. Not too high, but that's neither here nor there. So you're going to use your big toe and the ball of your foot and draw them closer to your heel, right? And so it's going to take your arch and, sorry, I can't even flatten it out. You're going to draw it up. Oh, see, I can't even, there we go. See how it gets drawn up? And you can even go more lateral foot just to get it started. So arch, oh there you go, arch, put the weight on the heel, ball of your foot, lateral toes. You can't see it now, but I'm spreading my toes as well. And now your foot might cramp up. That's totally fine. It's only going to happen at first. But that's your most stable position. And once you load that appropriately, that's actually what's gonna keep your knees out, not so much bigger, stronger butt. Some people think weak glute meads are gonna addressing weak glute meads will address your knee issue on your squat. It's not entirely true. We're powerlifters. You're a powerlifter. You're big and strong. You're throwing around hundreds of pounds. You're not just some, I hate to use the term, but normie, non-gym rat or whatever. General PT stuff doesn't work for us. So, besides the proprioceptive awareness of getting your glute meads to fire, this is what's really going to do it. So what happens when you, I'm going to turn my toes out just so you can see, is you're going to grab the floor, right? Grab it with the balls of your foot and your toes. You're going to bring your foot up, right? One more time. And you're going to, from there, rotate using your glutes. Now you're in your tightest position. Again, your foot might cramp up. Take your time, slowly, slowly, slowly. And then back up. Everything. So, I want you to focus on that foot stuff. Throughout your day, it'll get better, but also when you're under the bar. What's the last thing? Turn right hip forward when you squat. Right, okay, so, to mitigate this right now, it's a short-term fix, and I know I'm throwing a lot at you, but considering your lofty goals and where we are, I think you're 16-ish weeks out now, I'd rather shotgun everything, get you to where you need to be, and then pull things one at a time, really tease out what the issues are, right? Because you had this issue before, but now it's manifesting more, and it's manifesting in pain, so we're just gonna squash that, pull back. Once the pain acts up again, we know that whatever we just pulled is one of the keys, and we're gonna keep doing that until we figure out whatever you need to do. 5-10 minutes max, and you're done. But for now, we gotta start big before we go small. So from there, you actually have the same exact squat as me, as far as your left hip gets cocked up to the side and back, and forward. So you're kind of squatting in like a very exaggerated way like this, right? You're essentially rotating clockwise. And so what I want you to do, from the unracked position, you take it out, you walk it out from the erect position, right, the starting position. Squeeze everything like you normally would. Squeeze your feet, and then I want you to think quads, then I want you to think ass. Then I want you to take your right hip, turn it counterclockwise. Just a little, just take that right hip, push it forward just a hair. And you might feel a little off, and it's gonna look off at first. But I do believe that starting from there is going to let you slide more into a correct position than you are into that position where you're sitting to that right hip and you're really putting a lot of strain on the lateral hip musculature. It's like the glute med pain that you have, the trigger points. And this is something that I do or had to do, and sometimes I still do when I'm all locked up. It tends to help me, so maybe it'll help you. So again, squatting position. You do everything, feet, knees, glutes, brace, hip to the right, right hip forward. And then you're going to descend. So essentially one last time, right hip, go. Except I don't have the mobility right now. So hip, go. And that's all of it. Sorry that this is so long.